Okay, everyone, I am absolutely pleased to introduce Dr. Allison Parker, author of the book, Mom is the Missing Link. The Power is Within You. So, Dr. Parker has created this work for parents who are interested in creating the best environment for their child with an emphasis on reading. So, now Ms. Dr. Parker is the expert here, so I'm going to turn things over to her. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your credentials and why you wrote the book.
Okay, I am Dr. Allison Parker. I have served parents and teachers for the last 26 years of my career. I'm actually in New York City, which is where I'm born and raised. So most of my career, 22 years, have been spent in New York City. I did relocate and then I relocated back to New York City. I also taught 4 years in Virginia. And so I'm a trained elementary school educator. In my travels as an educator from year one, I noticed that there's a reading achievement gap. I want to say the reading achievement gap dates back to at least the 1970s when it was documented in data, national data, collected when students take statewide tests, district level tests, citywide tests. So it's been documented for years. And what's unfortunate is that it's wide open. The gap still exists, and I can't help but wonder about why. In my 26 years of teaching, some of that time has been spent, 7 of those years have been spent as a literacy coach. And so a literacy coach's job is to support principals and teachers with looking at student data to think about ways that we could help support students where they are across the 5 pillars of reading. So phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. So I have a wealth of experience helping my own classroom students as well as principals, teachers, and students with closing the reading achievement gap. And so with all the work that I've done, much more work has to happen to close this gap. And so when we think about all the stakeholders, we think about principals and teachers and students. We also think about parents, specifically mom. And this book is specifically geared to mom because mom is the missing link. You know, school systems tend to invite mom in to help with trips. We invite mom in, you know, when there's an event, we invite mom in for all sorts of things, but we don't really invite mom in to help really examine this large achievement gap that continues and follows children year after year after year. Many students are at least 2 years behind in reading.
Wow. That's something that you point out that I feel is incredibly interesting and that provides a lot of insight because I'm thinking about my own daughter. She's in middle school right now. And you're absolutely right. You know, they reach out to parents for, you know, fundraising events and things of that nature. But we don't hear a lot about, okay, what can we do to improve some of these scores? And you're oftentimes not hearing from the teacher until it's too late.
Absolutely.
So really glad you are being like really proactive in pointing out the needs in our communities. And so one of the things that I thought was really special about your book is that it is incredibly well organized. Can you sort of explain? I know you sort of have it organized with the prep, so you get the room ready, also emphasis on reading, and also emphasis on some of the activities that parents can do with the children. So I really like that there's so many prompts for that hands-on learning. Can you explain a little bit about what you mean when you say get the room ready?
Yes. So in my mind, I wanted to provide easy peasy strategies. So pedagogical practices links back to the word pedagogy. Pedagogy means the art and science of teaching students, basically the art and science of teaching children. And so my focus is on teaching children reading. And so if we really look at children from infancy to grade 12, the reading achievement gap starts at home. It doesn't start at school. It starts at home. And I strongly believe it starts in utero. When baby is in the womb, what can mom be doing during that very important time? Those 9 months, how can we get the brain, and the ears ready for language? language and listening and speaking, those are the prerequisites to reading and writing. So what can mom be doing while she's pregnant, having the baby? What can mom be doing during those 9 months? So reading to the fetus is one of the pedagogical practices in my book.
And I know these strategies really work. I tried them myself. So, for example, when my daughter was in utero, I read her some of my favorite philosophy books. And once she was born, I started reading to her right away. So, when I was reading your book, I'm like, yes, this really works. Because now she's the number one reader in her school district. So, throughout the county, she's number one. And I really, truly feel like it had a lot to do with the amount of reading that I did to her on a daily basis.
But I read to my own fetus. I also have a daughter. Okay. And I read to my fetus every single night. I rocked in the rocking chair. Like I got the room ready. Like there's a science to, I want to say, parenting.
Right. And there's a bonding there too when you're able to start reading, even in utero, when you start reading, that is another way for moms to bond with the child. Or even a father to bond with the child.
Absolutely. And I believe I cited the statistic, but at a certain amount of time, I believe it's 20 weeks, babies can recognize mom's voice. Babies are listening to those language patterns. They're listening and their brain is taking in that information. It's critical to learning how to talk and speak well in multisyllabic words and lengthy sentences. So what we do from the beginning is going to determine how wide that achievement gap is. So in my book, I'm encouraging parents to read to the fetus once baby comes. Well, right before baby comes, we want to get that room ready. And so we want it organized. We want it clean. We want it to be a space where babies can roam free so that mom is not constantly using language to correct and redirect. We want mom to use language to nurture, to build vocabulary and language, not to simply don't touch that, don't do this, stop this, don't go there. Set the room up so that children can use their five senses to learn, because that's all of that has to do with how a brain learns to read. So those first 2 years, the first 7 years of a child's life are critical. And mom can do so much if she were aware. I believe if mom was more aware of her power,
right?
Women are powerful. This is the last day of Women's History Month. So what a great day to have this interview. Women are powerful, but I believe that we're not tapping into the real power that mom can bring about in her own child because she's just not aware enough. And so I wrote this book to bring awareness to mothers from the onset, in utero on. She can be more conscious and be more proactive with her language, her communication, and then building the habits and the routines of reading daily.
Right.
When I have my own private practice. When I started my private practice in 2012. So one of the things that I do when I interview kids when I first meet them is we have a conversation first. I'm listening to their language skills. Does this student respond in complete sentences or incomplete sentences? What is that language like? How is that student using language to communicate? I'm looking at, the length of sentences. What kind of sentences is the child use? All of this, children learn how to speak and read. Most of it comes from their interactions with mom.
Exactly.
And so when I ask my new clients, hey, when's the last time mom's read to you? Some of the responses are very interesting and very telling, which goes back to my mindset about how mom is just not aware.
Right.
My mom doesn't read to me. I'm in the 4th grade. My mom doesn't have time to read to me. My mom has never read to me. Or I'm not a baby. My mom doesn't read to me. She doesn't read me bedtime stories. So there's this lack of awareness about the power of literacy and how much we could be doing before children even enter school.
Right. I know. I really love how you just go into such depth. And one of my favorite quotes in the book is, not only are you emphasizing children, but you're emphasizing moms as well. So one of my favorite quotes from your book was, when we give birth, everyone wants to hold the baby, but who holds up mom? So can you say a little bit more about that quote and what you mean by that? What's the takeaway?
Yeah, I think as mothers, we look forward to having the child. We have baby showers and we're so excited. But how is mom feeling? And we have to tap into how mom's feeling socially and emotionally, because how she's feeling socially and more importantly, emotionally and mentally is going to directly impact how she parents that child. And so my focus was thinking about ways I could help uplift mom and make her more aware of these strategies. And so the book is set up so that I take care of birth through age 2. Here are 5 strategies that you can use if you're a mom who's purchasing the book and you have a newborn, you're pregnant now. Hey, how about we implement these 5 things? Okay, once you've given birth, here's the next 5 things you could do. Now, and then after that, here's the next. So birth through age 2, 3 through 5, and then you start kindergarten.
Right.
Hey, here's what you can implement, mom. You know, my daughter learned to read at home. She didn't learn to read at school.
Yeah, isn't there something like how some students learn differently, and you can tell? One of the things that I remember about my daughter is I taught her how to emphasize punctuation. So, for example, the question marks and the exclamation marks. When she got to the end of the sentence, she would say, "Oh, the dog ran really fast," and her intonation would go up. So, even looking at those little things can really make the difference and make reading fun.
Absolutely. Reading and writing. Absolutely. And so you're making a valid point that you are coaching your own child.
Yes.
That is what is missing. Too many mothers think I'm going to go to school and the teacher's going to tell me where my kid is. But if you engage daily with a bedtime story, with communication at the dinner table, just in passing while driving, while traveling, building language is
Yeah.
so important to building readers. And I just think that mom is just not aware of her power. And I want to make her so consciously aware that she implements the strategies and becomes the powerful woman she was created to be, so that we could start closing the reading achievement gap, because it is large.
Can you point to maybe a couple of activities in the book that you really enjoy, or maybe a couple that are your favorite?
Reading to your child every day. That is the most important. So children can hear that language and then you can discuss the book together. For moms that are busy, oh, I can't read this book. It's too many pages. I recommend split the book into 5 days, split the
Yeah.
book into 7 days. You don't have to read the whole book in one day. Or my kid wants me to read the same book over and over and over and over and over again. Do it. Your kid is learning all the words in that book, the language associated with that book, and they're falling in love with literacy, which I believe is the most important thing. So,
Mhm.
reading to your child every single day. If nights don't work for you and you're exhausted, start your day with reading. Read a
Yeah.
poem, read
Yeah.
a riddle, read a joke, read.
Yes. Yes.
Keep it
Yes.
light and airy and fun so that kids associate literacy with excitement.
That's the missing
Video game
part.
can't be the kids' only source of excitement.
Yeah,
And
I
so
agree.
in my travels, that's what I see. So
Oh, yeah.
it was imperative for me to sit down. I've been carrying this book around in my head for at least 2 years.
2 years. So, can you tell us a little bit about the writing process? Did you have any roadblocks? What made it sort of difficult or more easy for you to compile the book?
So the first thing I thought is this book has got to be written, but I've got to write it in such a way that it's not a lot of techno babble. So I didn't want it to sound like it was for teachers, but I want to empower mom so that she can learn some of the techno babble to engage with teachers, because a lot of the students that are behind, they're special needs students. Either these are students with dyslexia, they have ADD, ADHD. I want to empower all moms, no matter who the child is.
Mhm.
And so I would say that when I was writing, I tried to make sure that it was in simple enough language that mom could understand, while infusing some technobabble just to make mom aware so that she can communicate in the school environment and feel comfortable. Sometimes parents are intimidated because they don't know the techno babble. So
Yeah.
here, I want to empower you with some of the techno babble. So I had to use words like phonemic awareness. I had to use the words like fluency, but I defined everything so mom would know, what is it that Dr. Allison Parker is talking? What is it? What is it? Like, I defined everything. So I kind of thought about explicit instruction, and students who struggle require explicit instruction. So I tried to set it up so I'm so explicit in plain, simple English that mom would understand as well, because I want to empower her. The more I strongly believe we need an army of tutors. Listen, this gap has been going on for decades. I'm
Right.
53 years old. I'm a 1971.
No way.
Yes, I am a 1971 baby. Okay. And children were struggling then. Why are we still struggling?
Right, right. There's something very, very deep going on there. And I think your book addresses a lot of those key factors. And what I love is that you're not only pointing these things out, you're also offering solutions. So that's one of the things that I think that makes your book special, that you outline, okay, this is what we need you to do. From my experience, from
Yes.
Dr. Parker's experience, Mom, here's what you need to do. What would you say makes your book special?
I would say that it's a cry for a national reform. If the school systems nationally are not closing the reading achievement gap, we have to think about why. And the number one stakeholder who's not part of the conversation at the literacy and reading achievement gap closing table is mom. Mom is not at the table. We write all the books for teachers. We're doing professional development for teachers. Principals go to conferences. You know who's not invited to the table to have this conversation? You know who they're not empowering?
Wow.
Mom.
That is a really good point. I didn't think about that. Where's mom's training?
If we empower more moms, like an army of tutors, an army of mothers understand how to develop phonemic awareness. If the research shows us that children who have low phonemic awareness, if students have low phonemic awareness, that's the number one predictor of reading comprehension later in life in the third grade. If we know this, why aren't we bringing mom in to help us develop phonemic awareness in children? Why are we not discussing this in infancy?
Right, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Why aren't we? That's the question we need to answer.
Because society only brings mom in for fundraisers, to sell candy,
and behavior.
Can you join us for a trip? We're not really using mom as a key stakeholder. And I believe she can help influence and positively impact this movement if she were more aware and at the table, and she isn't.
I completely agree. This is definitely wonderful information, and I definitely encourage people to grab a copy of the book. Where can people find you? If you want to shout out your website and your social media where people can locate you.
Sure. My website is Dr. Allison Parker, Ph.D.com. You can find the book at Amazon. Right now, it's there at Amazon. Just search for Allison Parker, Ph.D. Mom is the missing link, and it'll come up.
Excellent. And do you plan to write more books in the future, or do you have ones that you've already written?
This is actually my second book. My first book was written more so for teachers on a totally different topic. That book is titled Teach, Stack, and Build a Real Estate Investing Portfolio to Build Wealth. So I'm encouraging teachers to, especially while they're young, stack that cash and deploy some of it into real estate, which can be a form of passive income, and help build the retirement nest egg so that when you look up in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you have this other vehicle making money for you.
Excellent. Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to interview you. This is an incredibly valuable work, and I hope that people do.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I will go ahead and put the links across the page here so people can find you. And it has been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up?
I have a course coming out because I really believe that reading is going to give parents some hope but I'm anticipating that others might need more scaffolding. Coaching will be available. In fact, if parents go to my mothers go to my website, you can join my literacy coaching community by clicking the link, because there may be questions that mothers want to ask, and I want to be available to help. So they can join my literacy coaching community by just clicking the link in my website. And I'm also developing a course, and it's developed. I just have to put it together and upload it. It's called the Syllable Division Queen. So further along in the book, in chapter, mainly part 4 and part 5, I discuss what we call syllable division. So as a literacy coach and as a private practice tutor, when I listen to students read, they have no word solving skills. They get stumped by a word and they guess, they skip it, or they mumble through it. They don't have any word solving skills. So I know that this is an area that mom is going to need support in. So I've developed a course called the Syllable Division Queen. That's what I've coined myself. All the work that I do, it doesn't matter whether I'm tutoring students in kindergarten through grade 12. I've met high school students who can't decode multi-syllabic words, 3-syllable words, 4-syllable words, 5-syllable words, and they guess as well.
Okay.
I recently had one of my clients in my office the other day, and he saw the word stability. Let's clap the word stability. Stability. That's a 4-syllable word. He says sustainability. Sustainability. Yes, he looked at the shape of the word and no word solving skills. This is a high school student. So 8 through 12, we have to do a better job of helping students decode multi-syllabic words, because when they get stuck, they become discouraged.
Right.
So that's also on the horizon, my course as well, to support mom.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Parker. This has been an excellent interview.
Thank
and
you.
I hope to see more from you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.